Good morning. Today we are going to learn about 5-4, and this is a problem-solving one. And it is about reasonableness. And you guys should actually be pretty used to hearing that word, because there's a lot of times where I'll say, is that appropriate, or is that reasonable, or does that make sense throughout the day in various situations? Well, we're going to actually talk about reasonableness when it comes to math. Okay, so basically, after you solve a problem, you have to check. I can't write check apparently. Check your answer for reasonableness. Okay, so if I have an answer that I've written down, and the problem is 342 times 4, okay? And I end up with an answer that is 140. We have to think about this. Does this make sense? Well, if I'm making basically I'm taking 4 groups of 342, and I am putting them all together in one big total because I know it's going to be a bigger number because I'm multiplying. 140 doesn't make sense because that's smaller than that. So if I had this answer, this should be either division or subtraction. So in this answer, we can easily say this is not reasonable, okay? So this is not reasonable because, and the B/C is the because shortcut that we've done before. Excuse me for my sniffly nose. Because 140 is less than 342, and I know I am multiplying. Okay, so this tells me why. So yesterday we learned about estimating, and that's going to be one thing that can be corrected, or not corrected, I'm sorry, that can be used, because if we were to estimate, let's do like we did yesterday here, 342 times 40, okay? So if I am going to round this to make it easier in my brain, okay, I have 342, so that's going to take me to 300, because 342 on a number line would be closer to 300 and farther away from 400, and I know that because 42 is less than 50. Okay, so then I just distribute like before my 4. I'm going to move it over. I kind of messed this part up, so I'm going to fix it so it doesn't take up so much room. Okay, so just like before, I'm going to bring down my zeros, do my 3 and 4 as my basic fact, and put that to the left and put in my comma. So I know that if I estimate it, I'm going to be about 1,200. Now, I know when I went from here to here, I subtracted 42, okay? So subtracting 42 is called underestimating. So I know that my answer is going to have to be bigger than 1,200 in order for it to be correct, because I took away 42 groups of 4 in order to estimate. So for another example, if I were to change this to 350 52 times 4. This I would actually go to 400. And this from here to here, that would be me adding 48. Okay, so then I would distribute my 4 again, and I would go like this. 4 times 4 is 16, put in my comma. So then I know if I, in this situation, plus 48 would be, is called overestimating. That means that I am going to have to use, or know that since I added numbers to get to my rounding, then I overestimated. My answer is going to be somewhere close to 1600, but it's not going to be over it. This one I know it's going to be over it, but obviously it won't be anywhere near the 1600, but that's because this was a different problem. Okay, so those are some key words that we need to look at look at in the directions today. Okay, so we are looking at underestimating. Oh, I always forget how much the pencil smears. So I'm gonna go back over it just so it's not so smeared. Okay, and then the one word in the answer that's going to tell us is if something is reasonable. Okay, so we are going to want to, when we're learning how to do our multiplication problems, we don't want to just stop when we get this answer. We want to look at it then and look at what we're doing. We need to look at the operation, we need to look at both numbers, and does this make sense? I know just looking here, if I were to times this and put 2 zeros like we did down here, I could kind of do that in my head. So you don't have to always write out the reasonableness if you can do it in your head. If you can't, you need to double check by writing them out, okay? So for a sample problem or a practice problem, I want you to do 14 times 4 and get your answer, and then I want you to show your work for your reasonableness. Okay, so you're going to do this, you're going to put your number, put this here, and then your answer, and see if they are close. So this, good grammar, Mrs. Trimpey, is this reasonable? Yes or no? And you just circle which one's right once you have your answer. Oh, sorry, I covered that up. Okay. And at any point that you need to pause, rewind, go back, you're fine. You're doing this at your pace. And then when you are done, go on to your practice problems that you have in Schoology. Okay? Have a wonderful day, and come and ask Mrs. Trimpey if you have any questions. Oh, as I break things.